Two people graduate from the same university. Both are intelligent, hardworking, and have access to endless information. Yet 20 years later, one has built wealth and financial freedom, while the other is still living paycheck to paycheck. And here's the strange part. The poorer one is often the smarter person. In fact, some of the most intelligent people in the world never become wealthy despite understanding far more than everyone around them. At first glance, it makes no sense. We're taught that intelligence should naturally lead to success, better decisions, and better lives. But history is filled with brilliant minds who struggled financially while less gifted people quietly built fortunes. Which raises a disturbing question. What if some of the qualities that make people smart are also the same qualities that quietly keep them poor? And by the end of this video, you'll understand the hidden reason why intelligence alone is rarely enough to build wealth. When I first came across this idea, it sounded completely wrong. After all, smarter people should have a natural advantage in life, better decisions, better careers, better investments. That's what we've always been taught to believe. But reality tells a very different story. Study after study shows that IQ alone has very little correlation with long-term wealth, and many people with average intelligence quietly become millionaires, while brilliant people struggle for decades. Warren Buffett once said that investing is not a game where the person with the highest IQ wins, and perhaps that's because wealth follows rules that have very little to do with intelligence itself. But here's the part that surprised me most. The real reason smart people stay poor isn't what they don't know. It's something hidden behind intelligence itself. And once you see it, you start noticing it everywhere. Most smart people never even realize it's happening, because the very thing they trust the most is often the thing holding them back. Most people believe intelligence solves problems, and in many areas of life, that's absolutely true. Smart people are often better students, better analysts, and better planners than everyone else around them. But wealth plays by different rules. Wealth rewards action far more than knowledge. And that's where intelligent people often begin to struggle without even realizing it. Because smart people are incredibly good at seeing risks. They can imagine dozens of possible outcomes and countless ways things could go wrong. And while this ability can be useful, it often comes with a hidden cost that few people talk about. Instead of acting, they continue researching. Instead of deciding, they continue comparing and preparing. And slowly, intelligence itself begins to transform into hesitation. Think about investing. Many people spend years reading books, watching videos, analyzing charts, and studying market cycles, but they never buy their first asset. Not because they don't understand, not because they're lazy, but because they're waiting for certainty, and certainty rarely comes. The same thing happens with businesses. Some people spend years refining ideas, building plans, and imagining the perfect strategy. They tell themselves they'll start when they're ready, when they have more knowledge, when they have more confidence, when the economy improves, when the timing is better. But somehow that perfect moment never arrives, because perfection is a moving target, and intelligent people are often the best at creating reasons to wait. Psychologists have a name for this problem. They call it analysis paralysis. And interestingly, intelligent people often suffer from it more than anyone else because they don't see one risk. They see 10. They don't imagine one mistake. They imagine 50. So instead of moving forward, they continue planning and waiting for the perfect moment. But here's where things become dangerous. Preparation has a dark side. At some point, preparation becomes procrastination disguised as productivity. It feels responsible, it feels smart, but in reality, it is often just fear wearing a different costume. And while smart people are waiting for certainty, other people are quietly building momentum. You see this everywhere. One person waits until they understand everything. The other accepts that they never will and starts anyway. And over time, that difference becomes enormous because momentum compounds. But hesitation compounds too. History shows the same pattern again and again. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before succeeding. Henry Ford went bankrupt. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination and creativity. Colonel Sanders faced rejection hundreds of times before building Kentucky Fried Chicken. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company. None of these people had perfect plans. None of them waited until every question had been answered. If they had waited for certainty, they probably never would have started. Meanwhile, countless brilliant people spent their lives thinking, preparing, and searching for the perfect answer. But preparation alone has never created wealth. Action does. Jeff Bezos once explained that if you wait until you have 100% of the information, you're probably moving too slowly. And perhaps that's the biggest misunderstanding intelligent people have about success. There's another trap intelligent people often fall into. They become addicted to learning. Books, podcasts, videos, courses, and endless information begin to feel like progress. And sometimes they are. But knowledge without action creates the illusion of movement. You feel busy, you feel productive, but your life stays exactly the same. Some people spend 10 years studying, investing without ever buying a single asset. Others dream about businesses for years without ever taking the first step. Some people know more about entrepreneurship than actual business owners, but have never built anything themselves. Because learning feels safe, action does not. But wealth has never rewarded people for what they know. It rewards people for what they consistently do. So how do you escape this cycle? First, stop chasing perfect certainty because it doesn't exist. Second, understand that confidence comes after action, not before. Third, remember that most decisions are reversible. You can adapt, learn, and change direction later. And finally, stop measuring progress by how much information you consume. Measure progress by how much action you take. Because wealth is rarely built through giant breakthroughs. More often, it's built through small decisions repeated consistently over time. While many people search for the perfect move, successful people simply make the next move. And here's what surprised me the most. The people who win are not always the smartest people in the room. They're simply the people who keep moving when everyone else keeps thinking. They don't have complete certainty. They simply keep moving. Now here's the hidden reason smart people stay poor. Intelligence itself is not the problem. Fear disguised as intelligence is. Overthinking disguised as responsibility is. Endless preparation disguised as productivity is. Wealth does not belong to the people who know the most. It belongs to the people who are willing to act despite uncertainty. Because in the end, life rewards movement, not perfection. And progress matters far more than certainty. That's why some of the wealthiest people in history were never the smartest people in the room. Maybe the goal was never to become the smartest person in the room. Maybe the goal was simply to become the person who keeps moving. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to Money Decoded, leave a like, and turn on notifications for more videos like this. Every week, we break down the hidden psychology behind money, wealth, and success, so you can build more freedom, more choices, and a better future